The 4x4 Podcast, episode 140.
You're listening to the 4x4 Podcast, the podcast all about four-wheeling, overlanding, off-road racing, and the outdoor lifestyle. We talk about news, tips and tricks, answer your questions, and interview big and little names in the off-roading world. So whether your rig is busted and you're in the shop wrenching on it, or you're on your way to the trail, join us and we'll keep you plugged in on topics to help you get away. Here are your hosts, Dan, Craig, and Rich.
Well, hello, and before we introduce everybody else, I do want to remind everybody that this episode of the 4x4 Podcast is brought to you by LT Wright Knives. Their heirloom quality pieces will outlast your adventures, so plan well, drive safely, and carry an LT Wright knife. To find out more online, go to LTWrightknives.com. That's LTWRIGHT knives.com. So, all right, it has been a very long time since we have had the whole crew here together. So, Craig, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good, actually.
Excellent. And Rich, Mike still working?
I'm doing awesome as ever.
We have had a little bit of technical difficulties because I blame it on the fact that it's been so long since we've gotten together to record an episode. So we'll have to fix that going forward. But we got some really good stuff on this show. To give kind of a brief overview, we've got an interview with Brian from Goose Gear, the infamous Goose Gear that makes some extremely high-end storage solutions for your overland and vehicle-based adventure needs. We're going to talk about the Jeep Gladiator and then some electric truck news with the Rivian and the Atlis. Then we've got some reviews that we're going to read and a voicemail. Finally got a voicemail. So that's going to be a good one. And then I guess at some point we'll talk about what's new with us and all of our adventures. But to kick things off, let's talk about the Jeep Gladiator, because I don't think we've actually talked since the Gladiator has been released. So, Rich, I'm going to let you kind of kick off on this in terms of what we actually know about the Gladiator, because it's everything has been revealed at this point. I think they may even be taking orders.
Yeah, I think so. God, I wish I could have been more up to date on it. I remember I sent you a link to a YouTube video that gave some really good background.
Yeah, that was the one with Light Bright or something.
It was from Light Bright, yeah, on YouTube. And they gave some really good specifics on some of the things that we didn't really know about the Gladiator before. Do you remember what some of those things were, Dan?
Yeah, so it was some of the power numbers, and really there was a ton of stuff in that video. But what we're looking at right now is the Jeep Gladiator comes in a couple different tiers or trim levels, but it's only available in 4 doors. And just like, with the Wrangler, you can get the Sport, the Sahara, the Rubicon, and then any number of special editions. The trim levels here are the Sport S, the Overland, and then you've got the Rubicon. And so the Sport kind of aligns pretty closely to the JL Wrangler Sport. It's got the soft top. Then the Sport S it's essentially a hardtop version of the Sport. Overland is now what the Sahara would have been, and then the Rubicon,
I think it's
of course.
Similar to the Sahara.
Yeah, it's got a color-matched hardtop, and we can dive into a little more of the details of these. But if I really recommend somebody go check out the video that, and I'll link to it in the show notes from Light Bright, where I can't remember the name of the lady. Anyways, she did a really good interview with one of the marketing folks at the official unveiling at the LA Auto Show, which I really wanted to make it to, but I could not due to work schedule, unfortunately. But so just for fun, I'm actually on the Jeep Gladiator page at jeep.com, and the configurator is up and running. So you can go in there and build your own Jeep Gladiator. And one of the things I really kind of thought interesting backing up was that they went with the Gladiator name, not the Scrambler. I think we know the Scrambler to be like the pickup version of a Wrangler, but this is more of a truck version of the Jeep. like the Gladiator was. It's on a completely different frame. It does not share that frame with the JL, which I think came as a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. I thought more of it as a Jeep version of or a truck version of the Wrangler, but it's not. It looks very similar, but the underpinnings are very different.
So yeah, and I was noticing
a lot of the panels are.
I was noticing some of the options on the Overland. Namely, it mentions that it's got the adaptive cruise, the collision warning, and active brake assist. Did you see the article? It came out a couple weeks ago. It was the EU crash test ratings, and the Jeep Wrangler got a 1-star crash test rating.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Right.
Yeah.
So diving into that, it looks like the reason it really got the 1-star was because it doesn't have adaptive cruise, collision warning, and active braking. So it sounds like it is an option. It's just an option on the Overland model, probably the Rubicon model. I would imagine as long as you get the LED package, you could probably get it. But
yeah. Well, and what the other interesting thing on that is the location of some of those sensors. I think it's been positioned farther up because all the bumpers in terms of aftermarket are going to get swapped off. So if they put the sensors in there, then that would drive up the cost of those other accessories or make them basically unavailable. It's just now pretty recent, last couple months, that the bumpers for your truck's got the front LEDs, the parking sensors. Yeah, just something as simple as that was not available on most bumpers for the Ram 1500. It's becoming a little more prevalent, but I think Warn makes one, AEV makes one, and then there's maybe one or two others.
Well, what I found interesting was, people had asked and heard, this is mainly with the Tacoma, when the Tacoma came out in the 2017 and 18s, when they had the adaptive cruise and the collision warning. If I remember right, Toyota said that if you had lifted your Tacoma, you were going to have issues with all those warning systems because you throw that geometry off. And I don't know if that's true or is still true today or not, but I wonder how Jeep handles that too.
Yeah, I think there's some adjustment in it because it's not inside the bumper. There's some sensors that are in the grill.
Up in your rearview mirror.
Yep, now most of them are up in the rearview mirror. And it seems like it would be simple to adjust that, just like you would adjust a headlight, maybe an adjustment screw to change the angle. But I don't know. That may be something that you have to go back to the dealership and get recalibrated.
Yeah, but you got to realize the hood's going to be in the way. The hood it's not adjustable. I bet you it's adjusted just perfect for the hood, because if it's on the mirror, you raise the vehicle, remember, you're going to lose
could be
all that inches because of the hood. I bet you if it's on the mirror, it's already adjusted the way it's going to be. You can't adjust it down more, because if you adjust it down more, all it's going to do is hit the hood.
Yeah. Well,
so what they need to do is move it up to where the top of the grill out in front.
Yeah, and I think there was one of the trim levels actually had a forward-facing camera up there, and it was positioned inside.
Rubicon, if you have the LED lighting group package, looks like it's got they call it the trail cam.
Which it seems like a really cool thing, but I see that as being a problem where people are going to be sucked into that big display on their dash and not pay attention to picking out an ideal line that's farther out than 2 feet in front of their vehicle. Sometimes you need to look out a little farther ahead than that. On that camera might not work so well.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it's the same as rear view cams now.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody thought, they're only going to look at the rear view cam. I don't know. You've got one on your truck.
Yeah.
I use both my mirror and my camera. I mean, it's a tool.
True. I do like seeing that they've got the Apple CarPlay and the Android Audio. That's showing up a lot more prevalently. I wish that more vehicles were forward compatible and you could have that switched into it, because like navigation built into vehicles is kind of silly because it takes so much to upgrade, whereas the maps on our phones are way more updated than that. It'd be nice to just have that replicated.
Yeah. Plus they charge you for it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So at first I was a little upset that I don't have navigation on my truck. Then I realized all the other headaches involved with that, and I got over it real fast. So in terms of...
you have your phone.
It's true. It's true. I think what people are more interested in hearing about is the powertrain. So let's see. In the available engines, the 3.6 liter V6 that we've already come to know through the JK and the JL now, you can get that with the 6-speed manual transmission or the 8-speed automatic, the 850RE, which seems to be a pretty good transmission from everything that I've heard. The interesting thing, or the frustrating thing, is that it doesn't have a lot of information about the axles. So you can get, it just says the track lock anti-spin or the 3.7 gear axle ratio, but it's not saying what the axles actually are. So I imagine they're not the same as in the JL, because these have a much higher tow rating on them, the Gladiator, that is. So I don't know anything about the axles, unfortunately. Let's see. But the other engine that will be available in the second model year of the Gladiator is the 3-liter EcoDiesel. So, and I've kind of cautioned some folks that were super excited about that, because that the turbo diesel has a fairly significant turbo lag. And if you're going to try doing some rock crawling, it can surprise you. You can overcome that through some left foot braking to try and get the turbo spooled up and get through that lag and have better control of it. But it does take a lot of finesse. And it's also a little bit heavier than the 3.6 liter. So, but I know my dad actually mentioned just the other day when we were talking that he's looking at trading in, let's see, he's got 2 vehicles that he's looking at trading in towards a Gladiator. So with the diesel engine. So that's exciting. Hopefully I'll get some wheel time whenever that happens. But I plan to get behind the wheel of a Gladiator long before the diesel engine makes an arrival on the scene.
Well, actually, I believe, and I could be wrong, that the 2019 Jeep LJ, you can get a diesel option for it. Can't you? I thought you could.
So that was talked about for a long time, but I haven't seen one, and there hasn't been a whole lot of discussion about it. So they initially planned on it.
I was looking at Jeeps just yesterday, and one of the Jeeps at the dealership had one, actually had one on the lot. It had a couple of them, actually.
Interesting.
Because I accidentally put in diesel motor. I put in diesel engines, and
well, I'd be glad to be wrong.
It was an option. It was really weird.
Yeah, I think I've heard of some folks that have put in orders for diesel Wranglers and were waiting and finally gave up and pulled their order and went a different route because it was taking so long. So I don't know. Maybe if somebody in the audience, if you have seen with your eyes a diesel powered from the factory JL Wrangler or JL Unlimited, please let me know. I am interested.
Well, I mean, if you go to the configurator for the Wrangler for the JL for $1,000, you can have a 2-liter inline 4 double overhand e-torque engine.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody's actually taken delivery on it, though. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'd be glad to be wrong, but I don't think anybody's actually has one in their hands or in their driveway. So let's jump back here to the Gladiator and talk about some of the other stuff. A lot of boring things. The tow package, sure. Different gear ratio. It's got the wiring, pins, and everything all hooked up. We already talked the active safety stuff. The advanced safety stuff. So another thing that is becoming way more popular is those auxiliary switches that are built in and pre-wired. So all you have to do is run your accessories into that the little wiring housing that's under the hood, and you've already got factory switches built in. So that's a really cool feature. The one thing that I see as being a challenge is that you then have to remember, what does auxiliary switch 1 do? What does auxiliary switch 2 do? Because there's no...
Well, you just flip the switch and you'll find out.
Yeah.
What does this do? Push it and find out.
Yeah. And if you're
okay, that's what it does.
If you're the one that wired it up, it should be pretty easy to remember. But it'd be nice if they had an option to pop those button covers off and put on a cover that makes a lot more sense. Like, okay, yep, these are off-roading lights. These are for, your light bars or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
the 2009, the Wranglers, they do have that same option like you're talking about for the Gladiator. That's already in them, so.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a market for somebody to make replaceable buttons so you get accurate. There's my $1 million idea. Somebody needs to pick it up and run with it. You just gave away... Yeah. I also see they've got the remote, the proximity keyless entry and the push button start. I've got that on my truck. I think you've got that on yours too, Rich. And I love it. I love not having a key dangling from the dash, like clacking around when you're going off-roading. I just keep it in my pocket. I don't have to worry about it sliding out anywhere. But the challenge I see with the Wrangler and something with removable doors is that key is going to be moving in and out a little more easily than it does with a truck with the door closed. And I don't know if they've got the software programmed yet, because if you have the window down and you pass the key for the truck through the window, the truck doesn't know to look to see if the key is still in the vehicle, and you can drive away. I don't know if you've played around with that to try and trick it and see some of those issues.
Have you?
Yeah, I played around with it just to see. It does in fact work. But if you're like at the pump, filling up gas, and this is or filling up fuel, I passed the key through the window and it was still dinging at my wife, thinking that the key was out of the vehicle. And once you open the door and then close it, then it looks and says, okay, yep, the key is back in the vehicle. We can turn off this annoying chime that everybody just goes bananas about, and then it functions correctly. But if you just pass it through the window, it may think the key is still inside, and you can drive away, and the key could be somewhere else.
So we do it with our Toyotas. Like I just leave the keys in my pocket. I never take the key out of my pocket. Yeah. But yeah, so say it's in my pocket. I'm in the passenger seat. I get out. The car immediately starts dinging at us. Yeah, we can drive away, but it's dinging at us furiously. But if I turn around and hand the key to my wife inside the car, it immediately stops dinging. Yeah. And knows the key's back in the car.
It's just interesting.
With the door open or the door closed? That's what he's saying. Through the window.
Yeah, I do it through the window.
Probably knows when.
No, through the window. Wow. It knows. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they've got that figured out.
The technology's there.
We have the power. We have the technology.
Yeah, my key's got to be right, pretty much in the vicinity of the driver's seat for it to even start. So.
Huh.
Okay, so now it has. They've probably put what they call a geofence around that area, so that if the key's without of that area, the vehicle won't start, or it yells at you because the key is out of and the vehicle's still running. So it's telling you, hey, you just put the keys out, but the vehicle's still running. You need to shut me off.
Right.
That's probably what it's for.
Yeah.
So yeah, in theory, somebody could drive away with your car and not have the key, but
once they turn it off, they ain't gonna start again.
Right. Yeah.
I was just noticing something on the Gladiator. I went back and looked at the trailer towing option, and there's no trailer brake option.
Yeah, so that's a big.
If you go to the exterior, there's a trailer brake option for the Gladiator.
Huh? Yeah, just from all the pictures that I've seen.
I'm sorry, interior. It's under interior.
Huh.
So I'm guessing what happened is that was a computer malfunction when whoever did the website screwed up.
Yeah, they've got it under safety and security.
Yeah, way down there at the bottom. Trailer brake controller. And it does have it looks completely different than every other trailer brake controller that I've ever seen. It's a rotary dial instead of a slide, which I don't know why they would do that. Do you have the brake control on your truck?
I do not.
Oh, wow.
I wish I did.
Huh. Yeah, so it's come built in with mine, so you can digitally adjust the braking assist there, and then it's got the slider level. Anybody that's towed a truck, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Where you can.
No, mine was a fleet vehicle, so some of those little extra niceties aren't in there.
Who's driving a Rebel on their fleet?
It was a rental.
Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
Well, I do like, it looks like, or at least when I was reading up earlier, it said that all of the Gladiators come with the spray-in bed liner, but then I see it here as an available option instead. That's stupid. I don't know why we don't just spray in all the bed liners. I would like for somebody to tell me why they would not like to have a spray-in bed liner from the factory. I guess it's an additional cost if you're just going to completely remove the bed, but the number of people that are going to flat out remove their bed is much, 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 much smaller than those that are going to use their little 5-foot truck bed as a truck bed.
Well, if you're going to go that route, you would just, why don't more of them do like Chevy did with the Colorado and just offer a bed delete?
Yeah.
Just bed line everything and then offer a bed delete.
Exactly. I mean, they'll save a lot of money in production just by just spray it all of them. Get them out the door. Anyways, I think that's probably enough about the Jeep Gladiator. For now, we can jump to this next one, which is the electric. So we've talked gas, we've talked diesel, now we'll hit electric. And there are two kind of startups coming into the electric truck market. And when I first heard about the Rivian, as the first one we'll talk about, I really thought this one was going to be complete vaporware. It'll never actually show up. But the more I thought about it and looked into it, it's probably going to be a real thing at some point, just because that's the way things are moving. I do hope by the time it gets here, it has a different front end, because that grill is UGLY. But the numbers they're quoting here are kind of hard to believe. And now I've lost my tab to pull it up. But they're looking at coming out with model year 2021. Let's see. Delivers 147 kilowatt hours, which is equivalent, they're saying, to 197 horsepower, which is not a lot. But then for the rest of the... and this is where it gets kind of challenging, comparing a lot of the way they're measuring stuff in terms of torque is not the same way that we are used to in measuring torque for traditional vehicles. I mean, they're talking 14,000 Newton meters of torque, which that's not pound feet. So I don't know. Anyway, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and 100 miles an hour in less than 7. Now, if you translate that to the quoted 197 horsepower, that math just doesn't work. I got it. It's all of the power on demand as soon as you dip into the throttle, but that's really hard to believe. So, and I think they're also talking about a 400-mile range. And even when I was talking to I was watching the video and my 10-year-old daughter was there, she said, but how do you charge the thing? Like, you can't just go into a gas station and 10 minutes later be on your way. How does that work? I don't know. I think technology has a long ways to go before this becomes a real thing. What do you guys think about that?
Well, there is something about Tesla that they were testing a while back, and a lot of people don't know. They were talking about recharging stations where you just pull in, you stop. It actually mechanically, robotic, pulls the battery out of the vehicle, puts it in a fresh new battery charged, and it takes 5 minutes to do.
Yeah, that would be great.
Put the battery in the vehicle.
That would be great.
So that's a possibility.
So in both this and the other truck we'll talk about, the Atlis, which is said the same way as Atlas, but misspelled. It's ATLIS, because the Atlas is already a truck, so they had to, I don't know, steal the name, but not really. They both kind of operate on that skateboard-type platform that we're seeing for a lot of electric vehicles, where it's got everything but the body up is the same platform. So it's got the batteries in there, it's got the motors in there, it's got the suspension, all from that, like the floorboards down. And then they're both making good use of the hood space, or what would be under the hood, for additional storage. Yeah, they
made a trunk in the front.
Yeah. Just like the old VW Bugs where it's got the trunk up front, or the Porsche. And they do have, I think they've both kind of followed the same thing, a fully adjustable suspension. I will say with the Rivian, they've really kind of take a smart approach to just rethinking how people are using trucks and then catering the design to that. Like if you're going to be getting out of the truck and then putting on your boots for whatever activity is that you're doing, there's a little side panel that folds open for access to behind the rear seats. It passes all the way through. But that panel that folds down works like a seat. So you can sit there at a normal seat height, which would have to be done with an adjustable suspension. Otherwise, it's going to be sitting awkwardly. But little things like that. They got a flashlight built into the door. So when you open the door, you can hit the button and the little flashlight can pop out. And when you put it back, it recharges. Smart things like that. What I haven't seen is, like, is there a pass-through from the bed to the cab to kind of extend your storage space? I haven't seen anything like that, but I think it's interesting. I can't remember which one it was now. Said their starting price was going to be $45,000, and there's just no way that's true. One of these electric trucks with a 400-mile range coming out for their first model year at $45,000, no way. No way.
Well, if I'm going to say, it's probably the Tesla one, because they're already known and they already have, the assembly lines that wouldn't take too much to switch over.
Yeah. No, I think it was the Atlas. So here's some of the stats on that one. You can actually get a dually version of it with an 8-foot bed, aiming for a 35,000-pound towing mark and a 5,000-pound payload. So that's a lot of weight. Let's see, the battery options. You can get 3 different battery sizes. One's going to get you 300 miles, one's going to get you 400, and the other one is 500 miles. Of course, that's with a completely empty truck minus the driver, no cargo, no trailer. Everything's going to be shortened from that. 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. But then they're also saying a fully loaded truck can make the same acceleration in 18 seconds and then maintain that 65 miles an hour up a 6% grade. So all of that sounds
all that
great.
Torque in those electric motors.
Well, this also says the Atlas can be recharged in 15 minutes.
Which, that kind of speed, I just don't see. I don't know. I'm not real smart on battery technology, but that seems more like a capacitor versus a battery. The super capacitors, you can dump in a ton of energy really quickly, and then it can release it over time, whereas a battery, if you charge even a computer battery with the lithium ion or the remote control car with the LiPo batteries, it still takes a long time to get that juice in there. So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's somebody here in the audience that is super smart on battery technology. I know we've got a ton of really smart people, so we'll see.
What I think most interesting about the Atlas is the off-road version.
Yeah.
Supposedly long traveled, 15-inch ground clearance. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, and you can do that because of the difference in the drivetrain, where you've just got that output shaft from the motor, and it's all sitting nice and tucked up high. It's funny when you look at the various off-road race cars, the ones with the transaxle, they've got the motor in the back and that transaxle back there, and then it's basically floor pan and skid plates all the way up to the front, and it really changes how you approach obstacles. Like with a traditional solid axle, you have to be aware of how low does the axle sit, where is the differential, is it in the center, is it offset to one side or the other. But when you are coming at it with this skateboard type chassis, all you've got to make sure is your A-arms are going to clear and make sure that bumper clears over the obstacles.
Yeah. Now,
and just make sure whenever you're trying.
Did you notice on the Atlas, look at the front of it? We were talking about the hood, how you've got the trunk space up in the front also. You have like a forward-facing tailgate.
Yeah. That one is interesting. It's really worth taking a look at the pictures. Out of all the ones I've
seen, I think the Atlas is probably my favorite.
I agree. It looks more like a truck. The other ones just, I actually don't know that I've seen it now that I think about it, the Tesla truck. I've heard it talked about, but I haven't seen a picture of it.
There's also is it Bollinger?
Bollinger, yeah. That one came out a while back, and it's got that one I remember seeing. It's got a pass-through all the way from the back to the front. So you could load something like a 10-foot piece of lumber, like a 2x4, and have it pass through the passenger compartment all the way up into that front trunk, the frunk. I don't know if that's what they're calling it, but they should. The frunk.
I think frunk is good. Frunk is appropriate.
Yeah. But you could slide something all the way through. But the Bollinger was we talked about on the show years ago at this point, and I'm pretty sure it's still not for sale. So
yeah, I don't know. The Atlas does more trucky things, if you ask me.
Yep, I like it.
You can put a gooseneck on it. It says.
And since we're spending fake money, I'd put my fake money on the Atlas as well.
The Atlas.
Maybe they can afford to buy out the other Atlas.
I think we'd all have to
name.
agree on that. But I think what it would be is this probably will be more of a commercial vehicle. It will be bought by commercial companies for local stuff. It will not, I don't think a lot of people are going to buy this to hook up their fifth wheel and drive cross country. I mean, there might be a couple of people, but for the majority of these vehicles, when they're sold, they're going to be commercial vehicles. They're going to be used by companies just to save, fuel, which, hey, I'm good with. But
yeah, one of them even said there was like, you're not buying the vehicle. It really kind of changes how we're, getting the vehicle in our hands. Anyways, it's like a subscription model. It was like $700 a month, and that gets you the vehicle, the insurance for it. It's in the rundown. It said lifetime charging, and then at 5 years you can exchange it for a new version of the truck. So
so at least
$700. That's worth it.
Yeah, I mean
$700. Well, yeah, I guess if you're getting all of that, if you're getting the insurance, you're getting all the parts and labor thrown in. You're getting, the only thing you're paying. Yeah, you're not paying for fuel. Yeah, it's $700. I mean, a lot of people pay $800 for a truck like that with a diesel in it now.
Yeah,
$800 to $1,000. Plus, you got to pay for your insurance, your fuel, tires, and oil changes.
Well,
and
hell, it cost me $100 just to fill up on fuel right now. I mean, so
yeah. Yep. Anyways, that further supports my assertion that this will never come out like they say it will. It's going to cost twice that much, and nobody's going to want it, and the business is going to flounder and die. So that's my call. You heard it here first. And so I think
I've got hopes for it.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
I really hope it happens.
Me too.
Oh, I want to see it out too. I just want to see it. I'm just predicting it's going to come out in the market. But I'm like, Dan, 40,000, between 40,000 and 60,000, no way. More like $80,000 to $100,000.
Yeah, I know there's folks out there.
You're going to get people to pay that.
Yep, people are spending $100,000 for a truck right now from the dealership without the additional gee whiz of an all electric. So anyways, that's my call for that. But we've got a great interview. But before we get to that, I want to tell you a little bit more about LT Wright Knives. From the wilds of Alaska to the searing heat of the outback in Australia, what will you find in the back of a discerning Overland vehicle? None other than an LT Wright Knife Overland Machete, of course. These are handmade from 1075 high carbon steel, and your choice of either black or natural Micarta. I don't even know what Micarta is, but it sounds awesome. I'm going to have to read up on that more. If you need something that will stand out in the woods, opt for the orange G10. It won't blend in with your surroundings wherever you wander. And that's great in case you drop it. I like having orange knives. I'm probably weird like that. The LT Wright Knives is a small company with a family feel. It's located in Wintersville, Ohio, and they have a passion for what they do. Anything from everyday carry to bushcrafting to the aforementioned Overland-specific piece, LT Wright Knives has you covered. Each knife is thoughtfully designed, built, and tested before it heads out the door. Although they look good enough for the display cabinet, these knives are like to work. Put the knife through its paces and know that you're backed by a lifetime guarantee. So carve, slice, and chop to your heart's content. LT Wright Knives creates knives for bushcraft, everyday carry, hunting, cooking, and overlanding. So you have tons of options. Carry your preferred LT Wright Knives model with pride. You're helping to support an all-American company that will stand behind their product with a lifetime guarantee and the satisfaction of a job well done. These heirloom quality pieces will outlast your adventure, so plan well, drive safely, and carry an LT Wright Knives. To find out more, head over to ltwrightknives.com. All right, and now let's jump to our interview with Brian, speaking of legacy gear, from goosegear.com. Today, we are at Goose Gear, and I have Brian with me. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Awesome. Well, thanks for allowing me to kind of go around the shop and see what all you guys have going on here. Don't mind the drool on some of the trucks you have laying around here.
Yeah, so true.
But I think a lot of listeners are familiar with Goose Gear, but for those that aren't, can you tell me a little bit about Goose Gear?
Yeah, so Goose Gear, we build basically premium storage systems for really the overland market, camping market, and so we do a lot of work with Toyota 4Runners, drawer systems, camp kitchens for your fridge and your stove and stuff like that, and Jeeps, and of course the AT Habitats, complete interior builds for vehicles as well. So.
Right, so these are not just what somebody could throw together with plywood from Home Depot, just to kind of put a sense of things. For anybody that's not familiar with it, this is super high quality stuff.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we were shooting for, basically we wanted to create the best possible product we could. I know there's other products in the market that are at good budget levels, and we really wanted something that was just a really high performance product. And with high performance comes typically a high cost, and that's basically what we come down to. But our stuff is very strong, and we want it to last, for a lifetime.
Yeah, well, so it's clear that this is not the first market that you guys have started building for. It's clear you started somewhere else doing some really quality woodworking stuff.
Yeah, correct.
How did that kind of evolve?
Yeah, so basically, my wife is actually third generation. Her grandfather started doing countertops in 1952, actually just within miles of where we're at right now. And her dad ran the company for a while, and then she spun off and started her own place. And I've been doing cabinets off and on 15, 20, 25 years. I don't even know, but it's been a long time. And we said, let's just merge the two, because obviously cabinets and countertops kind of go hand in hand. And so we've been doing that for quite a while now. And after I bought my 4Runner, we built a drawer system for the 4Runner and came to the shop with my daughter and drew it up in CAD and sent it to the machine and cut it, and a few hours later we had this beautiful maple drawer box and posted a picture of it, and kind of the rest is history. People just said, hey, can you build stuff for me? And that's where we went.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. If somebody came to you with hey, I know you guys build countertops, can you do this? Or if that was something that stemmed out of your own desires, where you're already an off-roader and
exactly
kind of stemmed from that.
Exactly, and that's exactly it. We bought the 4Runner. I was working like crazy, and there's kind of a long story to it, so I won't go into too much to it. But there's a long story into where I just wanted to spend time with my daughter. I knew she was growing up, and she was 10 years old, and it's like, hey, I want to spend time with her, and so sold a big truck and bought a little 4Runner, and started watching videos and saw a lot of the Australians and South Africans, and was like, man, that looks like fun. And then found Expedition Overland and Andrew St. Pierre White, and I was like, oh dude, these guys are awesome, I want to do that. And that's really what fueled it. And so that's when we went out and bought a 4Runner and started building it out to start doing some camping.
Yeah, and so I did build a very rudimentary storage box for my Jeep, and it really kind of that same thing. I wanted to have all my gear well organized and with me so that I could spend more time on the adventure rather than getting ready for the adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That's a huge key for me. And, my friends that camp with me, the people that know how I camp, I'm probably the laziest camper you've ever met. I don't like to have to look for anything. I don't want to spend any time messing with the vehicle or my camping gear. I want to just get to where we're at, break the camp chair out, sit around the campfire, and just not do anything. And that's really how a lot of our systems are designed around that. It's just as simple and minimal as possible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
And I know the being able to have the family there with you makes the adventure that much more fun.
Absolutely.
And forcing everybody to be uncomfortable just because you skimped or forgot something, it really adds some difficulty to it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and having a place for everything is really key. And we see a lot of systems, not just our own, but other systems that people have built. And maybe we've inspired a few builds out there that we've seen, and that's awesome. I mean, build your own stuff if you can build your own stuff. But if you can't, we provide a good, solid system that's really been well tested, is tried and true, and we know it works. And the people that buy our systems, we basically, if someone builds a new rig, we're one of their first calls, and quite often we know they're selling their vehicle before the rest of the market knows they're selling their vehicle, because they're saying, hey, what do you have for this vehicle? What do you have for this vehicle? Because they just want to have a really well organized rig for their next adventure.
Well, so we talked a little bit about the quality of workmanship, but not much about the materials. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about what it is that sets you guys apart based on materials? Because I know what I always noticed was the aluminum kind of structure to the products.
Yeah, so the aluminum structure we use for the products is a somewhat off-the-shelf system. A lot of people have used it, heard of it, and we use it for all of our current Goose gear, which we call our current series is the M series, and that's basically what we're building right now. And so we're breaking out a new line called the S series, which is more sprinter line. It's aluminum structure again, but it's complete different construction. The current construction is an exoskeleton kind of design where the aluminum extrusion is on the outside. The new system is all internal extrusion, and then the external has a really nice fit and finish. So it's much more long-term expedition rigs, sprinter rigs, that kind of stuff. The big box trucks you see people like the Acellas and box manufacturer and all those. We're really focusing on some of that stuff too, with a little bit higher end stuff. But the materials we use are all at top end. I mean, we use really high-end quality drawer guides from Accuride. We're not going to use the Chinese knockoffs. Not that there's a lot wrong with them, but for us, we have to warranty everything. And we have to stand behind all of our product. And so we're only going to use premium products. Most of our products are made in the States. The panels are laid up in the States. The laminate's made in the States. The wood comes from Africa because it's one of the lightest woods you can possibly get your hands on, but still has really good structure. And then, of course, some of the wood we use, the Baltic birch, is from Russia, and because they're experts at Baltic birch. I mean, that's what they make.
That's funny. I listened to some woodworking podcasts, and it's funny. They were just talking recently, like, it's called Baltic birch because it comes from the Baltics.
Exactly. Exactly. So, which is fun when you're shipping international, because then it changes all the dynamics for us. But it's kind of funny. Every country has their own, requirements for Russian-made products.
For sure. Yeah. And I can tell you from first-hand experience as well, like, there's nothing more frustrating than a drawer slide that is all buggered up and not sliding correctly. Yeah. And oftentimes that happens just because it's in a vehicle bouncing around. It's got stresses at weird angles. So using high-quality products is absolutely worth it in my mind.
Absolutely. And we agree. I mean, I've looked at all kinds of different things, and even other high-end quality manufacturers, and we've really eliminated quite a few different products. When we first started, I mean, within about 12 months, we really went through and just said, this is not going to cut it. This isn't going to cut it. And really destroyed a lot of product in the process. And that's part of the testing,
Oh, yeah. I think everybody probably appreciates you testing it than the customer becomes the guinea pig.
Yeah, consumers don't like to be guinea pigs. I don't like to be a guinea pig. So it's I mean, what we produce now, we're incredibly confident in, and we don't really have any written formal warranty program. The only thing we've ever had issues with is the occasional drawer guide lever or something like that, and it will warranty it. We'll just send it to us. We'll send you a new one. Send us the old one back. It's as good as done.
Yeah.
So we don't, we just want to make sure the customers are taken care of.
Sure. So the storage systems, that's kind of a large product. Are people buying online, having you ship stuff to them, or are they bringing vehicles here, or how's that typically work for
So in the beginning, Goose Gear, we sold direct, and we built a lot of vehicles. We do have a lot of cool vehicles in the shop right now, but they're very special projects that we're working on.
I mean, there's Land Cruiser Troopies sitting around here. Yeah. There's not a lot of those driving around, and the odds that there's two parked next to each other here, pretty slim.
Yeah, pretty slim. But we definitely have two really nice Troopies, one from South Africa and one from Australia. And we're working on both those right now, interiors. And we're really using that as a lot of prototype, because we're actually running the new S series line with that. which hasn't been released yet. And you're actually the first public person that's ever heard of it.
Here we go. Here first.
Yeah, you're first because you heard it first. Actually, it's true because Expo East is the first time anyone will actually see it.
Okay.
And so it'll be unveiled there, and then the full product line will be unveiled at Expo West next year. So it's a different product. So that's why I have the two Troopies in here. We're kind of prototyping stuff and testing, and then we'll build a system for the Troopies because we do feel they're going to be a little more popular. Still a very small market, but it's a popular platform, obviously, for good reason.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on now. Is really, but yeah. So a lot of our sales are through dealers. We have dealers all over the country.
Okay.
We have some dealers in Canada, and we're talking to some people in Central and South America right now. We have definitely talked to people in Australia and Europe about becoming dealers as well. People have called us and contacted us, and so we'll probably eventually branch there. We're just pacing ourselves and going at a slow pace.
Yeah.
Just, it's I don't want to grow too fast and fall on my face.
It's tough to scale different kinds of businesses, and here where you're going between two, you got an awesome cabinetry business and the Goose Gear products. That's definitely something you want to do right.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work.
So if somebody wants to see your products in real life, they can go to Goose Gear and find the local dealer to them, or how's that work?
Yeah, absolutely. If they go to our website, there's a contact us page or a dealer page. You click on either of those and it'll take you to all the different dealers, a link, and it's just a little Google map that pops up and tells you little pinpoints where all the dealers are. We're trying to fill a couple of small voids in the Midwest, but it's few and far between over there for good quality dealers, because we do vet all of our dealers. We don't just open anybody up. You have to have a location, you have to have a retail shop, you have to have a service shop where you're actually doing installations, and then we really want to know that you know what you're doing. So we're going to look at the vehicles that those dealers build, and if they don't build what matches our products or the same quality, we won't open them up. And it's nothing personal, it's just our clientele expects a high quality product and a high quality installation, and so we have to pair with really good quality shops, and there's not a lot of them out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So where can somebody go to learn more about Goose Gear?
So you can go to our website. It's goose-gear.com, so goose-gear.com, and then other dealers have it on their sites as well. If you go to your local dealer, quite a few of our local dealers will have product either in their own vehicles. A lot of the dealers have our product in their personal rigs, which is not a shocker. And,
that may be why they became a dealer.
Exactly.
I just need something to get this here closer.
Exactly. So yeah, a lot of dealers have stuff in their vehicles that they can show you. And then of course at different events than where it's Expo and Northwest Overland Rally and that kind of stuff too.
Okay. Yeah, so even though you guys are headquartered here in Southern California, I know I've seen pictures on the Instagram page all over the country.
Yeah, we try and travel as much as we can. That's one of the beauties of this business.
Yeah. That's the kind of business I want to be in.
Exactly.
Awesome, Brian. Well, thanks for your time.
No problem.
I'm going to check out some other stuff around here at the headquarters for Goose Gear, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys out on the trails and at events.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brian. It was great to meet you at the shop there. You hear all the work busily happening behind them. Have you guys seen the Goose Gear stuff before?
Yes.
Oh, man. It is by far, there's no way I could build something that nice if I had to. So, it's phenomenal. And just to clarify again, their website is goose-gear.com. If you go to goosegear.com, that's something else. So goose-gear.com. All right. So, like we mentioned at the very beginning of the show, we haven't sat down and talked in forever. So, let's start with Craig. What all you been up to lately? It's been a very long time. Is your Jeep running yet? Everybody wants to know.
Well, let's not talk. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about SEMA. I went to SEMA.
Let's talk about SEMA
for the
instead.
very first time. Yeah. Okay, SEMA is. Everybody has their pre-notions of SEMA. I had a pre-notion of SEMA, and I was completely wrong when I got there. It's not a car show. It is an industry show.
Yeah.
And this industry show is not, it's beyond what people think. It's a conference. It's a big conference. I mean, it has different things where you go to learn about keeping your business going, bills, staying correct with the laws and of the United States, your taxes, all that stuff.
SEMA actually stands for Specialty Equipment Market Association. And so it really does, it's designed as a business-to-business type thing where suppliers are meeting with vendors, and that's really, it just happens to be that cars are awesome and trucks are awesome, and that's what everybody kind of latches onto.
There were some great vehicles there. But what was very interesting to me, that at points I was walking through looking at booths, and I was in the tire area, and I was looking at all the different tire manufacturers. And what was interesting is I saw companies that were Japanese tire companies that came to America or came to SEMA to sell their tires to Japanese companies back in Japan. They had nobody else in their booth because the people that were in their booths did not speak any English. One booth, I went and tried to talk to them. Every person in there spoke Japanese. Nobody spoke any English. So how could they be there trying to sell tires to somebody here in America if they got nobody that spoke any English to sell?
Huh. Well,
and then a little bit later, I walked back around, and hey, you go up one lane and come back down the other. Well, as I'm coming back down another lane, there's a guy in there, and they're talking back and forth in Japanese, and he's selling, and I'm like, okay, and he's got a logo on his shirt, and the logo was from a shop in Japan.
Interesting.
So they flew all the way to the United States to sell their tires back in Japan. I was just like, oh, hey, that's one way to do it. But ran into some great people at SEMA. Actually ran into a old contact of ours, or I should say yours, Dan, that we kind of lost touch with, and we got back in touch with. And she's a great lady. She's fun. And it was great. I just loved it. I have decided I will not go next year, or I will not go this year, 2019, but I will go 2020, just because I'm going to skip a year because it is intense.
Oh, yeah.
There's some things I need to figure out because I didn't see everything. And sometimes, but as great as I found out that they actually have a SEMA app.
Yeah.
So it helps you it actually has a map in there to help you, and a schedule so you can see what you wanted to see. And so at times I marked too many things on there, and then I didn't realize that some of the things were at the same exact time that I wanted to see. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. And I am a big Mopar fan. I know some of you guys probably saw it, but I posted the new Mopar 426 Hemi, 1,000 horsepower, 950 pound-foot torque. I was standing right there when he fired it up. I got to meet Mark Moorman and his daughter from Graveyard Cars. And the people are great at SEMA. It's just it's amazing. I do look forward to going again. I'm just not going to go this year because it's not a cheap trip, especially for us, because or for me, because it's all we do all this out of our own pocket, So until we get that big best sponsor,
yeah.
But
I'm gonna have to wait to go until my work schedule changes because it seems like I am always working during SEMA, so that'll have to wait.
Yeah. But some of a lot of the equipment, some of the new products, some of the old products. It's amazing, and it was funny as I went, there was one section I just kind of like, okay, I'm not going to go in there because it's just, I thought it was a waste of my time. And then I realized, oh my God, that would have saved me so much time if I would have went in there. And there's a section right next to the media center where I would go during the day, post things and, check and look some stuff up and then go back out and look. There was a section right next to it, was the new product section. It had 30,000 new actual products and it was in 2 sections right near the thing. And the nice thing is if you were interested in it, they gave you a scan gun. And then you take that scan gun and you walk around, and anything you were interested in, all you had to do is scan it. And then they'd give you a printout at the end. I'm like, oh, geez.
That's pretty cool.
I should have done that. Instead of walking around getting all these pamphlets from everywhere, I could have just gone in there, got everything that was brand new.
Well, was there anything that really caught your eye, any of the new products that really kind of stood out among the others?
Yeah. I know our podcast kit.
Holy smokes!
Our
that's
listeners
a big
can't
pile
see
of
this,
documents.
but yes, I have a stack of here and business cards. But what was really interesting to me was a company. Now everybody's been freaking out and was scared of the new Jeep Wrangler coming out with an independent front suspension.
Yeah.
Now I'm not sure. I'm going to say it's Rego 4x4. It's REGO 4x4, and it's the REX. It's a front end that crosses over itself for an independent front suspension. So you actually replace your straight axle with an independent front suspension, but it makes it into a long arm kit, because what it does is the driveline actually goes all the way to the other side of the vehicle.
Yeah. It looks kind of like a twin traction beam with the old Fords had.
Yeah. But it was, instead of it being, the diff being off to one side, the diff is actually in the middle, and then the axles cross. One crosses in front, one crosses in back, and it goes up to the other side of the differential, and it hooks up. So you have an actual long arm kit for your Jeep, the Rego.
So the Rego looks pretty cool. Their website, Rego4x4.com. That's pretty cool. It's got some pictures and videos of everything you're talking about. What else did we see at SEMA?
Lots and lots. The things I showed you that were, I'm trying to find, I can't remember if this is the...
Yeah, we may have to do a show just kind of recapping all of SEMA, even though it's way after SEMA now. That was back in, was that November?
Yeah.
And here we are, January.
A lot of the stuff, just getting, going through all of the stuff I went through, I got to meet the people at Bolt. They have a new product out that was actually won an award the first day of SEMA.
Oh, nice.
And for the life of me, I can't remember what it was, and that really aggravates me. I thought I had it right here. I had the notes, and it's... Yeah, I moved the notes and I spilled it, and I have a feeling it's on the floor. I apologize, people, but
I am still a huge fan of the bolt locks. I've got the lock for the spare tire. It goes over a lug nut on the rear spare tire carrier. That it's all keyed the same. So when I shipped my Jeep up here, they're like, "Oh, where's your key for the spare tire in case we need it?" I said, "It's the same key," and it kind of blew their mind that that's how that worked. So that's
they
cool.
have a whole new set of products. They actually have I want to say a tow hook, but it's for the front. You actually has a key, so you can lock it on the front of the vehicle, and it's for your tow strap.
Huh.
So people can't steal it off the front of your vehicle, and you still got a tow hook on the front.
Do they have a lock for the D-ring for Tammy from the 4x4 podcast or from the Jeep Talk Show? She needs a lock for her D-rings. She's convinced that somebody stole one of those off of her Jeep.
Yeah, they have they actually have this aluminum one. It's huge. It's like 4 inches wide.
Oh wow.
It's huge, but it has a lock on it and it keeps you from people stealing it.
That's funny. Well, there you go, Tammy. I know you're listening, so.
Yeah. And, the new product coming out for the Jeeps is just crazy. and Black Sierra was there. That was one I was interested in. They have their trailers that they're the Australian manufacturer. They're bringing their off-road trailers to America.
They say how much those cost?
Interesting. They're expensive, but
yeah, it is.
Sweet vehicles. Very
cool. Well, we'll have to focus in on SEMA for a full show at some point. Really, to.
Oh yeah. I have to I made a bunch of notes for when we did the show, and I just don't know what happened to them.
Well, we'll find them at some point. All right, Rich, what all you been up to lately besides growing facial hair?
Yeah, my retirement facial hair.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to be ordering those white knuckle sliders for the Ram.
Yeah, the ones that we've been talking about and kind of
I think I'm going to finally pull the trigger and order a set of those, get them on there, and
we know those things are heavy.
Prevent some further body damage.
Those things are heavy, so you may just need to come and visit me and pick them up down at their shop because the White Knuckle Off-Road Shop it's just down the street from me.
Yeah, that might be cheaper.
It might be.
Better yet, you're already there. It doesn't make sense for me to drive two ways. You're already there.
That's true. You can just buy them. I'll pick them up. I'll test them out for you and make sure that they are suitable for the Rebel.
I was going to say, be careful. That might end up on his truck, and now he's got to buy you a pair.
There's no question about it. They would definitely end up on my truck.
But that's really the only thing on my plans right now is getting those things put on.
Yeah.
Hopefully save me some money.
That's
the approach I'm taking.
Yeah.
Because you're going to save me money.
Yeah. Well, I know, Stephanie, my wife, she was talking about getting some side steps, and really side steps are almost as much as full-on rocker protection that also functions as a step. So,
right.
So that's a done deal. It's just a matter of being smart and budgeting it in. So that'll be nice. Well, since the last time we talked, I had a lot of work done to my Jeep. I almost completely refurbished the suspension. So replaced the old busted, worn out Heim joints with the Metal Cloak Duraflex joints. I replaced the leaf springs. The Skyjacker leaf springs are now custom made by Alcan down here in Los Angeles area of California, and I need to have them on to talk leaf springs because these things are phenomenal. They came with nice, I asked for actual rubber bushings so I can get all of the vibration isolation, and that's kind of why I went with the Metal Cloak ones as well, because driving with Heim joints daily is awful. I don't recommend anybody do it. Also replaced all the bump stops. I replaced the little rubber bumpers when you close the rear hatch. So now the lift gate does not rattle around. It's nice and quiet. I replaced the door jamb switch, so now my dome lights actually work when you open the door. It's amazing. And I can tell you that all of that put together makes for a very comfortable ride. It's been nice driving it around. I actually went out and tackled the off-road route that I've been kind of looking at for at least 6 months, where I can come right outside of my nice gated community here at Fort Irwin in Southern California. And then on dirt, the route takes you across a dry lake bed. It takes you through the Calico Mountains, through a pass up there. There's another dry lake bed. Then there's about a 4 to 5 mile section of highway, or of pavement anyways, that goes between I-15 and I-40, or if you're in California, the 15 and the 40. I'm still learning California lingo. But then once you get across there, it dumps right back out into the desert. You go through a couple canyons and everything, a bunch of washes, ravines, and then it dumps you out at the Slash X Cafe, which is a well-known off-road destination. It's right at the edge of the Stoddard Wells off-highway vehicle area here in Southern California. And so when I come into the parking lot, I see it's completely jam-packed. There's Jeeps everywhere. There's side-by-sides. There's dual sport motorcycles out there. There is full-on race trucks parked in the parking lot while everybody's just going in, getting something to eat. So this was amazing. And the fact that I could go out there and tackle it without worries was even better. and I kind of put it up on the Facebook page for the local Cars and Coffee group, just saying that I was going out to do it. Didn't really expect anybody to, like, at the drop of a hat, come and join us, but somebody did. And Rich would enjoy this. He just stepped away for a phone call, but there was a guy said, yeah, I can be there in 20 minutes, meet up at the gas station, and he joined us on the KLR 650. He has done the route, or a portion of the route anyways, through the Calico Mountains, but has not been on the other side of the highways or over to Stoddard Wells. So I had that portion plotted out on the GPS, so we kind of worked together. But when we met up, he was saying that, hey, just so you know, you're probably not going to be able to keep up because his KLR 650 can go through those trails a lot faster than any four-wheel vehicle that he's been with Jeeps and ATVs and everything. And I said, that's fine. You know, this Jeep is not meant to go fast. It'll go just about anywhere, but it won't get there very fast. And so as we were going through, I was keeping up with him, and I don't know what he thought was fast or slow. But we were cruising along at, 35, 40, 45, and just that soft suspension, those new leaf springs and everything just kept soaking it up. So I was keeping up with him, and he was kind of watching in the rear view mirror for me. But then when we finally did come to a stop, we were talking, he said, usually I can't get over 20 miles an hour with four-wheel vehicles with me. I said, oh, well, okay. Then, yeah, we were going a lot faster than that. I was really impressed. So actually, once we got over to the other side and I started taking the lead, I was crossing through the bottom of a wash, kind of a drainage area, and I did not expect when you come out of that, I didn't expect it to be as steep as it was, and I should definitely not have been doing 40 miles an hour, because when I hit that thing, it launched me. Like, the entire Jeep was in the air for long enough. Everything kind of slows down. It gets real quiet. There's nothing shaking, no vibrations. And I look over at my brother-in-law who was with me, and I said, we're airborne. And then made the impact, but it was nice and smooth. It didn't, like, buck up the rear end. Usually when the rear suspension compresses like that, it's going to kick things up. It didn't bottom out. We didn't bounce. Like, everything worked the way it was supposed to, which really surprised me, actually. But it was a good way to break in the new suspension components. So,
don't say break. Don't say break.
yeah. Nothing's broken yet. I went through and kind of rechecked, and I'm going to check them again here in about 500 miles or in a month. Just make sure everything is still tightened up the way it's supposed to. But I can say with confidence that the Duraflex joints from Metal Cloak are much, much better than the Heim joints. No surprise there. What I did not expect was how nicely those new leaf springs were going to work. That really surprised me.
Now, a long time ago, I told you were considering getting rid of that Jeep.
Yeah.
Now, yeah. I told you you'd regret it if you did it.
It's true. At this point, the Jeep is not going anywhere. It's not leaving my possession. As long as it remains in one piece and is drivable, it'll be hanging out. It's been paid for so long that even if I go and spend $1,000 on refurbishing, replacing parts, like, that's still a lot less than making new vehicle payments. Like we were talking about, some people are spending $700 for a new truck. So, I don't know. We were talking at one time about shipping the Jeep back to Alaska so that whenever we go back for our various trips, we've got a little get-around vehicle. And that still may be a case because we're planning a trip back in August, and we're going to be back there for a long time. And if we are renting a vehicle, especially if I'm going to use that vehicle for fishing and hunting type stuff, it's probably not going to work so well. So, I don't know. What I'd like to do is just drive it right back up there and then find a place to park it so that we can, take a cab or something from the airport, then go pick it up and then get around. So I don't know. I got to figure that out still. But the Jeep's not going anywhere. I've got all the I told you so's from everybody. I'm not going to sell a Jeep. So, we've got a couple reviews that we need to get to, and then a voicemail. So let me play this voicemail, and then everybody gets the chance to respond to it. It is a little bit longer of a voicemail, but that's okay. This is a little bit longer of a show. So here we go.
Hey, Dan, how is it going? I hear you haven't gotten a lot of voicemails recently, so I thought I'd ring you up on a Friday night, drop you a little message. Anyways, love the show, love what you guys are doing. Thanks for your service, all that good stuff. I want to talk to you a little bit about overlanding and how the whole topic drives me crazy. Like, it's car camping. Like, we're not crossing Africa. We're not in the Simpson Desert in Australia, right? We're not doing no camel trophy event or crossing Siberia. Like, we're car camping in state parks. Maybe BLM land if we're lucky. So I don't understand why it's a big deal. I don't understand why we need like $15,000 worth of kit bolted to our cars. I don't get it. There's all these overland groups on Facebook, and they run these trails, and it looks like super badass and hardcore, except that, like, my friends and I do them in our stock 4x4s. Like, it doesn't require mud terrain tires and Icon suspension lifts and steel bumpers and worn winches, and, like, all that stuff's cool, but you don't really need it 99% of the time. I don't know, man. I just feel like the whole off-road overlanding scene, it's like the new midlife crisis. 20 years ago, folks were buying Porsches and Corvettes and stuff, and now they're buying TRD Pros and lifting them before they're done making payments, and they're putting rooftop tents on them, and they're putting fridges in them that are nicer than the fridges in their house, you know, and, you know, a couple $1,000s worth of LED lights, and, like, all this stuff is cool. It's just, I don't know, not necessary. Like, can we talk about that? Like, I like cool toys too, you know, but you don't need like a built rig to do Forest Service roads. Like, come on, guys. Like, let's be serious here. You don't need like 3 jerry cans. You live in North America, you know? Like, I don't know. My rant is over. It's just absurd. You're just car camping, and most of the time you're staying in state parks that have like RV hookups. You know what I mean? Like, everybody chill. Anyways, thanks again. Probably shouldn't use this audio because it's incoherent. But have a great weekend. Stay safe. God bless. Thanks again.
Okay, so that was, I don't think you said his name in there, but that is, and I'm probably going to mess up your name, but Vasily. We talk on Instagram. He's a Land Rover guy. So when a Land Rover guy is saying that, you know, we have officially jumped the shark, and I would agree. I think it's safe to say everybody here probably agrees with the fact that all of that stuff is completely unnecessary, but there's always going to be some folks who go over the top with everything. And I'm glad to see that some of that, you know, eye candy vehicles are out there. But you're right. Totally unnecessary. Oh, man. What do you guys think? Is the rant accurate?
Yeah, he's not wrong.
True.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some people go overboard when they build their vehicles. But then you also think about this. If you under build your vehicle and you go out and do something, then you're wishing you wanted it when you needed it, and then you don't have it. It's better to not need it, have it.
Yeah,
that's just
but
the way I look at it.
I think what we really should acknowledge is that there's a lot of people that think they need all of that stuff, and then they never get around to actually going and have their adventure because there's always one more thing to build. Whereas, just take what you got and get out and use it, and then you can really decide what is necessary and what's unnecessary.
Right. Well, these, I mean, bulk of everything they're comfort items. They're comfort and convenience items, and it's, you know, it's all personal preference. It all depends on, you know, I mean, yeah, a refrigerator is really nice. I wish I had one, but I'm making do with a cooler.
Yeah. Well, and that's the funny thing. Like, some of these coolers cost almost as much as the refrigerators, which is mind-blowing to me, but I don't know. But you're right. You were right. And a lot of that stuff's unnecessary, but I love the stream of consciousness. And I think I've already sent him a sticker, but if not, email me your address and we'll get some in the mail. I'm sure we'll talk on Instagram here very soon as well. All right, speaking of sending out stickers, I have sent out quite a few stickers here recently over the Christmas and New Year's time because I had said on a show previously that if you leave a review, then I will send out a sticker to you. So if you are any of these three people that if any of these three people that you've selected, we will send out a sticker. So we've got the first one is Luke's 10K. And he says, loves the content, especially gear reviews and interviews with people from the 4x4 scene. Great consistency in the releases of podcast too. That is a lie, but I'll take it. Dan and the guys are great and very knowledgeable. Keep it coming. So, Luke's 10K, shoot me your email or your mailing address in an email, and I'll get that out to you. We've got another one here, and it's super tiny for my aging eyes. BLB Concrete, I think is what it is. Great information on overlanding, 4x4 news, what's going on in the 4x4 world, and new 4x4 related components for your rig and repairs. Keep up the great work, and been listening for a while. So thank you very much for that. That's a 5-star review, another one. Let's see, the last one here for this is Tim 1986. Awesome podcast. Dan has been doing it a long time, so listening to back episodes takes you through a journey of many life stages and different locations. Great content that always continues to teach me something, and the best part, he sends out a 4x4 podcast sticker if you put in a review. Exactly. Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking somebody was asking me about the podcast in real life just fairly recently, and I had to count it up. Like, started the show while I was in Korea. Then I've produced shows in New York, Afghanistan, Kansas, Mexico, Alaska, Canada, California now. The show's been all over the place. So that's really cool to think about all of where the 4x4 podcast has taken me and where the 4x4 podcast goes with everybody in the audience. I was actually talking to somebody on Instagram today who was listening to the episode about Mojave Road while on the Mojave Road. So, very cool. Well, that is it for this episode of the 4x4 podcast. I just want to say thank you for listening. You can send us an email at the 4x4podcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to follow us on any of the places on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are at the 4x4 podcast at all of those places. If you would like to support the show, be sure to head over to LT Wright Knives and check out some of their awesome blades over there. And at least just say thank you for supporting the 4x4 podcast to those guys. We'll get them on and get smart about knife stuff here really soon. And also you can shop on Amazon, the 4x4podcast.com/Amazon. Shop like you normally would. We've got a bunch of merchandise up there and available. So that's pretty good stuff. But that is it. So tread lightly, God bless, and stay safe while exploring your world. I should hit record first. I see the light blinking at me, and that was no good. So I'm glad I caught that early. Oops. That would have been sad.
That would have been a pain.
Okay. Take 2.